You are listening to The Standard Show, the podcast that brings you the stories behind the standards with Matthew Childs and Cindy Paragill.
Standards. Well, they affect all of us every day. Wherever we go, whatever we do. By defining good practice, they help people, organisations, the economy and society to do things better.
And every year, standards-making bodies around the world publish thousands of them for all sorts of things. For some of the big stuff that affects all of our lives, like the Net Zero Guidelines, an international standard that helps provide a common reference for governments and industry.
And it's not just the big stuff, it's the small stuff too. There's a standard for pen caps, which reduces the risk of asphyxiation if pen caps are accidentally swallowed by children. Amazing, really.
And then there's everything in between, from standards that help organizations to protect customer data, to guidance on the right way to use AI in medical devices, even to the cables that charge our smartphones.
In fact, for you to be able to listen to our voices right now, you may be using Wi-Fi. Well, that's all down to the IEEE 802 series, international standards.
And standards like these are made by standards makers, tens of thousands of people from around the world who get together to agree good practice to the way things are made and done, all helping to make our lives easier, safer, and more enjoyable.
Hello, this is Matthew Childs, and this episode of The Standard Show is my conversation with one of those standards makers, Tom Ruddell. An award-winning one, in fact. Tom was awarded the Young Standards Maker of the Year award by BSI earlier this year. Tom is currently the Lead Remanufacturing Engineer for egg lighting and is involved in the development of the standard BS 8887-221, the Remanufacturing of Luminaires. Later this year, Tom will be heading to Edinburgh alongside 3 other young professionals to represent the UK, BSI and its partners on the prestigious IEC Young Professionals programme. I spoke to Tom about why he is a standards maker, the impact it's had on his career, his proudest standards making moments so far, and what advice he has for anyone looking to become a standards maker like him. I started by asking Tom about just how important standards are to his job.
Just absolutely essential, really. They kind of guide what we do in the lighting industry. Obviously, we deal with a lot of safety critical products like emergency lighting, but also we're dealing with mains electricity and products which are within the built environment. So from a safety performance perspective, standards guide what we do. And I think it's particularly interested with remanufactured lighting because they aren't brand new products, but we've kind of been really pushing towards having those remanufactured products be recognized as if they were a new product from a standards and compliance assessment perspective.
Give me a sense, Tom, what sort of standards do you use on a day-to-day with your job?
BS 60598 is the classic for lighting. It's a kind of Bible for the lighting engineer that really goes into detail about all aspects of the construction and testing of luminaires.
But tell me about the standards you're actually involved in developing.
Since about 2021, I've been working on the development of BS 8887-221 for the Remanufacture of Luminaires. That was a new piece of work in 2021. So that standard dictates the process of remanufacturing luminaires. It adds a bit of industry-specific information to the general remanufacturing process. It doesn't prescribe technical details, but it provides guidance so that within the lighting industry, there's accepted terms, there's common agreement on the processes, and that will really hopefully allow remanufacture to become much more adoptable in the lighting industry at scale.
Now, what's been your standards journey here, Tom? How and when did it start for you? And I'm particularly keen to explore your motivations for getting involved. And dare I say it, was there a light bulb moment for you?
I think there was a bit of a light bulb moment, actually. So I trained as an engineer at university, so standards are, they're a part of the profession. But at that point, I really saw them as something a bit kind of external, something that just exists, and I didn't really have any appreciation of how they would be made or edited, and it wasn't something I was aware of or interested in. When I was working at Egg Lighting and we were looking at remanufacturing, looking at the standards that exist for luminaires, and really trying to work out a way to make remanufacturing have that same trust and authenticity and credibility in the market. And we saw standards as a natural way of doing that. I was in a conference with the Scottish Institute of Remanufacturing and met a chairperson for BS887, and they kind of heard what I was saying and said, well, standards, have you considered, maybe we need a standard for this? And it kind of just clicked at that point. It made complete sense.
And how did you go about the process of getting involved?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, it's just something that I never thought I would do. I didn't know how to go about doing it, but they were just so friendly and just made it really approachable, really easy. And once we kind of talked through what we could do, just kind of took it step by step. Didn't set out a timeline initially or try and define it too much. I kind of went on this process of reaching out to people in the lighting industry saying, well, we think this is a really good opportunity. What do you think? Would you be interested in joining this piece of work? And to my complete surprise, there was a lot of interest in that proposal to develop a standard for luminaires for remanufacturing. So yeah, it was really, really exciting and happened a lot easier than I would have expected.
And in terms of your motivations now, Tom, you've been a standards maker for 2 or 3 years now. What's keeping you involved? Are the motivations the same as those for when you got started?
So the standard is nearly finished, nearly public. So I suppose there's still a little bit of that just finishing the job. But I mean, I've got a lot of pride for what we've achieved as quite a small group of people. And already there's a lot of industry buy-in, a lot of interest in the standard. Yeah, just really motivated by the potential for environmental impact that the standard has. And I think, that's what's keeping me interested in doing it, is it's actually the potential for the standard to change the way we do things. So for me in my career, having a positive impact on the environment has been really a cornerstone to kind of guide me in where I want to go and what I want to do. Within the framework of circular economy and net zero, and also in the lighting industry, we're really conscious of the amount of waste that's being created by placing new products in the market every year. What I really want to emphasize is that standards can be a tool to influence the way that we do those things in a really positive way. So with the standard that we've been developing, it actually gives industry a tool, if you like, to produce lighting and keep lighting in use in a different way to what's done currently. And that's a really exciting outcome from standards.
And Tom, what are the benefits? What will be the benefits of BS887?
The main objectives are to try and clarify the terminology for remanufacturing lighting products and to develop an agreed process for doing that. And both of those are really interesting because we've got people will use words like refurbish, recondition. I even heard reincarnate recently, and these words all get used interchangeably. And by defining the meaning of remanufacturing, it allows that to be used in a professional setting, in tenders, in project plans, so we can actually scale up the environmental impact of the circular economy in the lighting industry.
What do you think, Tom? It's relatively early days, but what do you think the impact has been so far of being a standards maker on your career?
It's been a really good journey for me personally. It's been a way for me to kind of network within the industry in quite a natural way. Definitely, it's been a way to kind of meet other professionals, more experienced professionals, and learn from them in a technical setting. I think also I've learned a huge amount of those kind of soft skills in terms of group speaking. I've really been doing quite a lot of kind of diplomacy within the group, something that I call influence without authority, and certainly conscious of my own relatively kind of inexperience within the group. So all of that as a young professional is really difficult to get, building your confidence when you're speaking to much more experienced professionals. So yeah, it's been a great opportunity just to build my general professional confidence and maturity, I think.
And how about the impact on your employer, Tom? Have you been involved in the development of this particular standard?
My employer has been incredibly supportive of the process. Obviously, it does involve dedicating quite a lot of time, and it's been something that over time will really benefit my employer, and they've taken the view that by association with developing the standard confers a kind of thought leadership on the organization. So yeah, it's certainly been a really positive thing for the employer as well.
I just wonder what's been your proudest standards making moment so far?
Yes, so I really wasn't expecting it, but I was awarded the Young Standards Maker Award at the spring conference for the BSI. So really just kind of over the moon about that. And it's amazing to receive that sort of recognition for your work. It's obviously a team effort, but it's just lovely to have that kind of personal recognition for the role that I've played in getting the standard kicked off and seeing it through.
Many congratulations on that award. And so, how does that make you feel? You've not been involved in standards that long, but how does that make you feel about the work that you're doing?
Well, I think it made me feel that I'm on the right track, and actually, you're not kind of putting things out into the void. People really care when you make an effort, and yeah, definitely. And it's also showed me what's possible if you make the effort. Obviously standards development is a voluntary thing to do, but it really matters to me. It matters to a lot of people in the industry that we develop the circular economy and that we shift industry away from using virgin materials. And it's great to see that echoed as a really valuable thing to do.
And Tom, what's next for you in your standards journey?
So I'm really pleased that I've been invited to take part in the BSI's Young Professionals program. So that will allow me to network with other young professionals in standards development and learn from their standards journeys. I'm also really excitingly going to be going to the IEC General Meeting in October, which is just down the road from me in Edinburgh. So that's a really incredible opportunity to see the IEC at work and learn a lot more about international standardization.
Yes, congratulations on being selected there to represent BSI and its partners on the IEC Young Professionals Programme. Now, Tom, key question, I suppose, really. What advice would you give to anyone considering getting involved in standards?
Well, it can definitely be a bit daunting as a young professional, and maybe thinking, what can I contribute? Maybe somebody else can do this better. But I would really say that people don't care about your age. And I think if you've got the energy and the motivation to get involved in standards development, I would definitely encourage people to just give it a go and get involved and see where it takes you as well. I don't think trying to map out where your standards journey will take you is a good idea. Just try and give it a go.
Now, like Tom, you too might want to give it a go and be part of the standards community, having an impact and making a difference by shaping standards for lighting. Or maybe you want to create smarter transport solutions or help organisations to become more energy efficient. Or maybe you really want to make a difference in the field of medical devices or baby feeding products, or maybe managing food waste. It doesn't matter. Whatever your thing, get involved in standards. We welcome applicants from all fields, backgrounds and career stages. Our goal is a simple one: to have a balance of views around the table. So start that standards journey now. Details of how to do so are in the show notes. And the show notes are also where you can find details of our socials and all the other ways to get in touch with us here on The Standard Show.
You have been listening to an episode of The Standard Show, the podcast that brings you the stories behind the standards, with Matthew Childs and Cindy Paragill.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.